Good evening. Chris Lee of Southeastern 16, joined by Chase Robinson. What a wild and crazy night of SEC football. We've got goalposts coming down in Starkville. We got Alabama scoring points every play. Crimson Tide leads 72-0, scoring a touchdown literally from the time I started this to now. We've got Oklahoma and Michigan going down to the final minutes. We had the Florida upset today. We had Auburn and Arkansas taking care of business. We had Vanderbilt go to Virginia Tech and dominate. I'm ready for more conference-on-conference games because the thing that stinks is that you just can't watch everybody, right? You're watching 4 games at once, and I'm going to miss something that was great or key. So we apologize. We're doing this live if you're catching it on the replay. But, man, what an interesting night for SEC football, watching the goalposts leave the stadium in Starkville. Mississippi State led this game, by the way, the whole game. Arizona State kicked a field goal with, I think, 1:41 left, something like that, maybe less. And then Blake Shapen throws a touchdown pass of 59 yards with 30 seconds to go. State pulls one out. Huge win for Jeff Lebby. I mean, just big wins across the board tonight. Unless your name's Florida, we can talk about that. Man, Blake and I had this joke. He brings it up. Every time we say it's a crummy day for football, and this looked to be one of the worst days on the schedule, something happens in the SEC or the football gods just deliver. Sometimes it's against the SEC in Florida's case. But anyway, all that to say, way more interesting stuff going on today than I anticipated. By the way, we're brought to you by FanDuel, so we appreciate those guys. Some teams tonight covered the spreads, and some of them didn't. Chase, that's a lot of words. I haven't let you speak yet. Where would you like to start?
Oh, man, I think a good place to start, because the SEC has done so good today, I think a good place to start is with the Florida Gators, because that's a problem. I think that and look, Alex Golish, the coach for South Florida, has given the SEC some issues. I mean, they gave Alabama a run for their money the last 2 years. They beat Florida today. So credit him for going out and getting a win the SEC. But there's a problem at Florida, and I don't want to overreact to it too much. But I feel like that's one of those games that, with the momentum that Florida had after the big win last week, and I know it's against Long Island, but then looking ahead to, it's a brutal schedule. We talk about it all the time. They have got some tough teams that are going to be rolling in there, and that they're going to go to, and to drop this one against South Florida puts you in a really, really tough spot if you're Billy Napier in Florida. With this is not near the toughest team you're going to face this season on your schedule, and you drop this one. That's tough.
The only good thing I can say about that is that Billy Napier has some experience dealing with it after last year, knows how to navigate the combo of the schedule and losing a game. Well, last year wasn't really losing games that they were underdogs in. It was just losing games where they should have been competitive by a lot early.
Yeah.
Anyway, point being, he went through this last year. There's a blueprint for it, but there's no way to sugarcoat what happened in Gainesville today.
No, there's not. And so we'll see how they bounce back. This is it was a tough watch for Florida. So I think, it was a good day for the SEC other than really that one, but that was a tough one. That one that was a glaring problem today there in Gainesville.
All right, recapping scores. I'm going to pull up the scoreboard to make sure I get all these. We talked earlier in the day about these games. Kansas, Missouri, Kansas a 42-31 winner. Tennessee a 72-17 win over East Tennessee State. Ole Miss a 30-23 win over Kentucky. Texas A&M a 44-22 winner over Utah State. South Florida upsets Florida on the game's final play, 18-16, We didn't talk about that one as much because that literally happened as we were ending. And then Texas beat San Jose State 38-7. Also, Georgia over Austin Peay. I can't remember if we got that one in or not. Not much to discuss there anyway. So we're going to spend the rest of our time focused on the other games other than Florida because, again, we didn't get much of a reaction there. So that's going to be South Carolina and South Carolina State. I don't know if we'll talk much about that one. That one won't be over when we finish. That one started at 9:20 Central. We will also hit Oklahoma, which is about to run out the clock on Michigan as I watch it. Oklahoma going to be a 24-13 winner. Alabama just clocked UL Monroe, 73-0. 3 quarterbacks played in that one. LSU just kind of a ho-hum 23-7 win between big games there. Call that as a potential letdown spot. That's really a who cares. And we've got in other games, we didn't talk about Arkansas's win, 56-14 over Arkansas State. Auburn beats Ball State 42-3, and then Vandy knocks off Virginia Tech 44-20. So those are going to be the games that we focus on. Chase, let's start because I think we got did I say Missouri? Kansas won? I didn't mean that. Obviously, Missouri beat Kansas. It's been a long day, guys. We've been watching a lot of football. Okay, let's go to Auburn.
Yeah, Auburn taking care of business.
Yeah, 42-3. I think the big thing that I checked off in this one, Ball State is probably a bottom 5 team in the FBS, but Jackson Arnold last week ran for a ton of yards and didn't throw for a lot because Auburn didn't have to. Tonight, he's 24-28 for 251, 3 touchdowns, no picks, exactly what you want to see. Ran it 9 times for 5 yards. Yeah, I mean, it was just Auburn just had to show up and play clean ball tonight, and that's what it did.
Yeah, they did. I was really impressed with Jackson Arnold, his throwing, his accuracy. We've heard so much about the wide receiver room in the offseason, and we got to see them. We didn't see them a lot last week. They didn't have to. They ran the ball, and that's how they beat Baylor. They had to go to the air some today, and I thought Jackson Arnold looked the part. I thought he did well. And again, it's Ball State, not to discredit them, but they're going to have to throw against much tougher defenses. But I thought that was a really good game from Jackson Arnold. Auburn looked comfortable a lot of the time and looked kind of like things were flowing well, which we didn't see always last year. So I think this is another good step in the right direction for the Auburn Tigers and what could be a good season for Auburn if they keep this rolling and keep this momentum going. And I think the offense is there. Like, again, we got to see these receivers. We've really been wanting to see them, and we got to see them some tonight. And again, I thought Jackson Arnold going to get a good job of hitting his targets. 24-28. It's a good night.
Yeah, Jeremiah Cobb, 2 more touchdowns, rushed for $121. Auburn wins total offense 495-68. Did have some penalties. You would have liked to have not seen that, but you wanted to see Auburn mostly play a clean game and be commanding. All the stats were, I think, most of what you would thought. Only disappointment for Auburn. Didn't cover the number, but really, who cares unless you had money on it. So, yeah. Let's see. Let's go. I'm going to knock off the blowouts early. Then we're going to get to the big games, okay? So everybody hang on for that. Alabama 73-0 over ULM. Ty Simpson hit all 17 of his throws. Again, Alabama played 3 different quarterbacks. I think, did all 3 of them throw a touchdown, Chase?
Oh, let me look. Get the box score up. I was paying attention to so many different games.
And for those of you guys tuning in live, we're gonna catch up on the big games. The big games ended just as we were starting, so we're gonna wrap up the ones that have been in the books a little bit longer before we get the final boxes on those, and then go there. So not gonna be long, but anyway, yeah. I mean, Alabama total offense in this one tonight would have been 583 to 148, first downs 29-9. I just said, hey, Alabama, want to see you show up, play a clean game, act like you care. You saw Alabama handing out some licks late in that game. And I think, again, the big thing, Ty Simpson hitting all 17 of his passes. I don't think Ty Simpson was their biggest concern coming to this one. I don't think he played as badly maybe as some people credit him as playing last week, but always good when your first-time starting quarterback develops some confidence.
No, there's no doubt. And it looked like a different team, Chris. It looked like a different team. They were hungry. They were out there ready to roll tonight. Yeah, hitting hard. Just looked like the team we thought that we were going to be seeing last week. And to me, that showed that they weren't ready for last week. But I think that was a good wake up, and I thought we saw a really good version of the Alabama team. And again, playing Louisiana Monroe, but the things like playing hard, tackling well, those type things are what we saw tonight, different from last week.
Okay. Also in the books, Vanderbilt, a 44-20 winner at Virginia Tech. Vanderbilt scored the game's final 30 points. Vanderbilt just dominated that game physically from really the second half on. Total offense, 490 to 240, yards per play, 8.6 to 4.1. Virginia Tech had one first down in the second half, and that was by penalty. Vanderbilt just pinned its ears back and came after Kyron Drones, and its offensive line just opened holes that you and I could join arms and run through together.
I think Vanderbilt, we didn't give them enough credit in the offseason to be able to continue what they did. And I think we're starting to see, like, okay, watch out for these boys again. Like, they are they're going to be legit again this season. I really do think they are. And I didn't get to watch a lot of this because, again, I was paying attention to so many other games. But really impressed with what Vanderbilt was able to do on both sides of the ball. And again, I think this could be a dangerous team once again.
Yeah, won that one on the road, beat Brent Peay, who was Vanderbilt's defensive coordinator under James Franklin. So big win for Vandy tonight. Vandy, South Carolina next week will be a very interesting one.
Yes,
obviously, Virginia Tech and SC met last week. And by the way, Virginia Tech lost its starting left tackle tonight, and Vanderbilt just mauled Tech after that point. Okay, let's go here, because I'm going to get to some of the closer, more interesting ones later. We didn't talk Arkansas earlier in the day just because so much was going on. Hey, I always say this, like it's death taxes and Josh Heupel taking care of overmatched teams and just run them into the ground offensively. I feel like with Bobby Petrino as the offensive coordinator, Arkansas is kind of the same thing. It's one of the most predictable things is if the Razorbacks catch an undermanned opponent, they're just going to flatten them. And that's kind of what Taylor Green and company did tonight. 17 of 26 for 239, 4 touchdowns, 9 carries for $151 on his score. And I think the big thing, I knew the offense would do this. I wanted to see the defense play well. Holding Arkansas State to 14 points and 285 yards. I think that checks the box there. There were some more dominating defensive performances today, but I don't want to see, Arkansas come in and give up, 420 first downs or something like that. So I think, to me, we knew what the offense would be. The big thing was that the defense showed up and played pretty well too.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, it was a good night for Arkansas, and the fact that they were able to move the ball the way they did, both on the ground and in the air, I think was really good. I thought Taylor Green, he was 17 of 26, 239, 4 touchdowns. Did have a couple interceptions in that one, but this should help the Hogs a little bit. I mean, they're 2-0. They're going into a tough stretch here of games with Ole Miss, then Memphis and Notre Dame. Then you get into more SEC with Tennessee. So, look, it's I think it's there's some promise there for Arkansas offensively. Again, the way they were able to move the ball both in the air and on the ground.
Look who's in the chat.
Wow.
Max Barr. He says, am I going to become a Mississippi State football fan? Hey, Max, you might, man. The way these guys are playing, what a turnaround by Jeff Lebby. We're going to talk about them next. We're going to get to that, going to get to Oklahoma. We'll get into LSU, and I may have forgotten another one. And then we'll just kind of circle through the biggest storylines of the day. Obviously, Florida losing is a big one. Maybe you can pull some Billy Napier tweets. I'd like to see what those look like after tonight. But before we do, just a reminder, in addition to being brought to you by FanDuel, Game Time Sidekicks offers officially licensed stainless steel drinkware. I've usually got my tumbler within reach. Don't tonight. Tons of designs and logos for each school. They offer a college vault line, everything from stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles. GameTimeSidekicks.com. SE16 for 20% discount to all you viewers. We love our stuff. Each and every one of us drink from those things every day. I promise you it is a great product. You'll want to have one. You also want Rockform, which makes the world's strongest magnetic phone case. It has extreme protection and super strong magnets. Rock-Lock secure mounting. At Rockform, quality is paramount. You can expect the same military-grade standards with their case accessories as you do the actual cases. ROKFORM.com. SEC25 gets you 25% off your entire order. Chase, Mississippi State. Winning the game is one thing, okay? Winning the game the way State did, I think, well, first of all, winning that game is going to give you a ton of confidence if you're Jeff Lebby and crew.
Yep.
But let's look at how it happened, okay? State dominates the first half. State is up, what? 17-0, right
17
before half.
Nothing, yeah.
Mississippi State commits a personal foul penalty. Gives Arizona 3 right before the half. And then blows the lead in the final 2 minutes. And by the way, if you're Kenny Dillingham, I was kind of questioning the call not to go for it on 4th and goal from the half-yard line. I get you 1 point. But let's say you don't get it. You got State on its half-yard line.
Yeah.
And if you kick a field goal, they got a shot to beat you, which, by the way, they did. But rips the heart out of the crowd with a couple of minutes left, that field goal. You know, that is a huge mental hurdle to blow a lead like that and then to come back and get it. I don't know what kind of coverage Arizona State was in, but, man, that Thompson kid got wide open. Shapen hit him with the perfect throw, and he went to the house untouched, 59 yards for the score. Mississippi State gets the biggest win for that program since Mike Leach. And, oh, by the way, we've talked about it a bunch. What did I say about defensively with State? They were awful last year against the run. Last year, Arizona State trucked them in that game, which Arizona State did a lot with Cam Scatterbu a year ago. But State could not stop the run. That final score was not as close as the scoreboard indicated. I think Arizona State was up 20-something points at half and then just ran it on them all half. State couldn't stop it. Jeff Lebby went to the portal, brought in a bunch of transfers. I think brought in a JUCO guy or two. And when Arizona State was trying to score inside the 5 on a couple of snaps, State just stoned them. As big as that offensive play was, that stop was big too. Kudos to Jeff Lebby for going and getting in the portal exactly the pieces he needed. Mississippi State, again, with the biggest win in Starkville, again, at least since Mike Leach was alive. Probably the biggest win would have been, I think he won his last Egg Bowl. So this is a team went 0-8 a year ago, was an underdog in its own yard, came out a victor tonight.
Whoever, and this is credit to the coaching staff, whoever was in charge of evaluating players for Mississippi State in the offseason, whether bringing them in by the portal or whatever, like, hats off to you, because Mississippi State they brought in some nice pieces for this year's team. And we saw that tonight. Like, hats off to them, because Mississippi State has done some work in the offseason, and that's a big win. Huge win. Huge momentum win for State. They needed that. They start off the way that they did, and even when things got a little dicey there for them, they were still able to make magic happen and win. That's a monster win for that program, and I think we'll see more wins from Mississippi State this season.
All right, let's get to what, in my opinion, was the big one of the day. That's Oklahoma beating Michigan, because I thought that this was one where you could argue, you've got there's going to be 2 or 3 Big Ten and SEC teams that lock down bids. And there's going to be a couple of teams from the Big Ten and the SEC that are laying in wait saying, hey, we got a shot at this if the committee looks at my resume. A big part of that is going to be winning these swing games out of your league. And boy, did the SEC ever notch a big one with Oklahoma taking down Michigan in the Shard tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big win for Oklahoma. It's a matchup you don't see a lot, but 2 good teams, and I thought, this is big for Oklahoma with the pressure that they had on them coming into the season, the expectations that they have, like that this could be a really good Oklahoma team. And they showed that tonight. Like, I was impressed with what I saw. I've been high on Oklahoma all off season, and I'm not denying it. And I still think they're very good. And I think tonight showed it. Like, what they were able to do against Michigan. Again, Michigan would do something good, and I feel like Oklahoma would respond back well. And that's what really stood out to me, is their response in tough situations, and to keep their foot on the gas and make it happen. And monster win though for Oklahoma. Again, they needed that heading into, again, a tough schedule ahead for Oklahoma in the SEC. To get that win, that was big for Oklahoma. That's big for the program, big for the future of the season for Oklahoma, and to help them reach the goals that I know they want to reach. And so I'm fascinated to see now how they can build on this win at Oklahoma.
Yeah, I thought that Oklahoma had the edge in this game. Michigan is a team that caught fire late last season, threw an upset at Ohio State that nobody saw coming. What clocked Alabama in the bowl game, I think.
Yep.
And defensively, there's a ton of NFL guys. And again, in all the attention that Oklahoma has gotten, and rightfully so, for what the program did, bringing in Ben Arbuckle, hitting the portal, changing its identity, all those things, right? You still got a tough draw in Michigan. And by the way, Bryce Underwood, one of the top and most gifted quarterbacks, probably the most highly sought freshman in the country. Oklahoma showed up. I said, I think lost in all this, Oklahoma's defense is terrific. Their front seven is about as good as anybody's tonight. They hold Michigan to 288. Napier throws a pick, but was so good otherwise, man. I mean, this is exactly what they thought they were getting with Ben Arbuckle. He's 31 to 24, 270, a touchdown, a pick, runs 19 times for 74 yards. Oklahoma holds on the ball, which is kind of what you want to do. They run 74 plays to Michigan's, 56? I mean, we talked, as earlier said, tonight is a proof of concept game for Mississippi State. If it can win, that shows that the program is kind of where Jeff Levy wants it to be. And I think this was proof of concept for Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
They redid this whole thing. Brent Venables took over the defense. I mean, really, they went and did, and this is going to sound funny, Oklahoma taking a cue from Vanderbilt, but that's exactly what happened. They bring in a new offense, new offensive coordinator, a quarterback with the OC who coached him, who's mobile, new offensive lineman, and then they bring the head coach, and they say, I'm going to coach the defense, which is what Clark Lee did at Vanderbilt last year. And just like it did there, this is pretty much exactly what Oklahoma thought it was getting.
No, yeah, I completely agree with you. And I think, to answer Max's question here, where do you think Oklahoma will be ranked? They're 18 right now in the AP poll. I think they'll probably be 13 or 14 with Michigan was ahead of them. Obviously, they beat them. Florida lost. Arizona State lost. So I would say 13 or 14.
I've got the AP poll in front of me. I'm not a big poll guy. I think they're kind of useless. Teams that lost in front of them tonight. Well, first of all, the top 8 didn't play anybody, including Clemson, which nearly blew it to Troy.
Troy Trojans.
Yeah.
Came out ready to play against Clemson tonight.
No, Notre Dame played today and won, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, let me check that. And the reason I'm doing this, I'm trying to answer Max's question and make sure I don't miss anything. Notre Dame had.
They were off today.
Okay, they were off. Okay, so they're probably not going anywhere. South Carolina's going to beat South Carolina State. Illinois won big at Duke on the road. Arizona State's going to move down at 11. Florida's going to move down at 12. Florida State won big. Michigan lost. So that's 3 they're going to jump. Iowa State won, and SMU lost. I think that's, I think you're right, 18 to 13 or 14. It depends. Some pollsters, there's this stupid rule that if you win, you don't move down. I think that's dumb. I think it's how you win and how good you look. But, I mean, they're going to be no lower than 13 or 14 at AP next week. So, but, I mean, more importantly, they won a game that if they're in the conversation for college football playoff, and that's all that really matters. Does not matter what the AP thinks. Does not matter what the coaches think. Where are you on Selection Sunday? That's a big notch in the belt, I think. I mean, we say this. Who knows? Sometimes week 2 teams don't look as strong as they did, and sometimes later in the season there are non-factors. What I meant to say, but I think Michigan with that defense and NFL talent, and Underwood's going to get better as the season goes. I think that's a big win. Maybe outside of LSU's win at Clemson, which lost some luster today. But I still think Clemson's really good. That's probably the second biggest win the league's gotten this year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That was big. That was and the SEC needed that. That was one that'll look good on the SEC's resume as well.
Temple next week. That's on the road. Don't ask me why. But you know what's 2 weeks from today?
What is 2 weeks from today?
Oklahoma, Auburn.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Which I could argue, given what's going on both places. By the way, Auburn again impressive tonight, and Auburn's got South Alabama next week. Can't take a Sun Belt in your state lightly. Some teams found out about that today. About taking a non-Power 4 opponent lightly. But, man, that's going to be – I could make the case that from storylines, that'll be the game of the year in the SEC in the month of September. And boy, there's been a lot of good ones. But just because of the quarterback storylines, because of Hugh Freeze, because of Brent Venables and what he's done, changing the staff, that's one I'm circling already.
Yeah, the Jackson Arnold Bowl.
Yeah. Okay, did not get to LSU. Saw some LSU fans unhappy in the chat tonight. To me, that's kind of a yawner. Louisiana Tech picked second in a terrible Conference USA, but we circled it. We said, hey, they got revenge match with Florida next week. Big game at Clemson last week. Feels like a letdown spot for LSU. And no doubt 23-7 is a letdown for LSU.
Yeah.
As LSU beats Louisiana Tech, but come on. Not what you wanted, but it may be what you needed. Brian Kelly can now, I'm sure he will extract some coaching points from that. Keep his team grounded. And then next week, a game with Florida that God only knows what that one's going to look like.
Yeah. Yeah. That was going to be fascinating to see just based off of what we saw today.
Yeah. By the way, we just talked about the 2 biggest quarterbacks in the updated FanDuel Heisman odds. Nussmeier plus 800, Mateer plus 1,000. Carson Beck plus 1,000. By the way, ex-SEC quarterback. I don't know. I mean, those could be the top 2 guys, man, in the end. Mateer and Nussmeier for different reasons. Both of them got one big win under their belt, which I always say I pay more importance to that than I do the stat lines. Both of them came up big and delivered when it mattered.
They did. They sure did. And the two good quarterbacks. And I mean, John Mateer, after tonight, really solidified himself. He's okay. He's for real. He's not one of these quarterbacks that's going to come in the SEC and not live up to the hype. No, he's living up to it, and he just helped his team beat Michigan. So that solidifies John Mateer to me as a top level quarterback.
Now I've seen Oklahoma. We debated off season, is this a playoff contender? I think it is. I really do. Again, defense, they've given up what? 19 points this year? What is it now?
Something close to that.
Yeah. Offense, they got it going both ways. Now, let me see what they did in the run game outside of Mateer. That is maybe my one concern.
Yeah.
The box score's not up on ESPN. Mateer led them in rushing tonight with 74. I wanted to see what Jay Knott's final line was. Okay, he was 4 for 9. I don't know what's going on with Jay Knott. If I got a concern with Oklahoma, that's it right now.
Yeah, the run game is definitely the question mark, and that's something that we need to see over the next few weeks get figured out before they play an Auburn and get into their SEC schedule. So, that's something I definitely want to see them improve on as a run game. But I agree, and I made the bold prediction that Oklahoma is going to be in the college football playoff, and I do feel better about that. Watching them actually play, because I do. I think that if they play at a high level, then we could see them as a team potentially in the playoffs.
Oklahoma's remaining games against potential playoff teams. Texas A&M. No, I'm sorry. Auburn, that one's at home. Texas, neutral. South Carolina, that's on the road. Ole Miss, that one's at home. Tennessee, that one's on the road. Alabama, that one's on the road. Missouri, that one's home. LSU, that one's – my good grief. I mean, we knew the schedule was ridiculously tough. I mean, to me, an 8-4 Oklahoma team with the win over Michigan, I can't say should be getting some consideration. I don't know what everybody's resume is going to look like.
Right.
But if there's a team that might deserve it, like there's I feel like there's going to be an argument there, because you'll have beaten, 4 of those teams. Their whole schedule is teams that you could make a case they could get in the playoff. I mean, even Alabama after last week, maybe that's what got Alabama's attention. Literally every team on the conference schedule, in my mind, is a playoff contender right now. You go in 4-4 against that. You get one against Michigan. I think you deserve to be in the conversation. And Deacon say he's not sold on Michigan. I get it. Offensively, that not been that good the last couple of years, but nobody felt great about them. And then they went and did that to Ohio State and to Alabama. Teams that can defend can take you out of what you want to do, which Michigan decisively did to some really great football teams a year ago. And to me, Oklahoma, okay, fine. You want to question Bryce Underwood, their youth there, whatever, that's fine. You gain 406 against that bunch, you've done your job.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah, they want a refund on Jay Knott. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if the injury that he had last year is lingering, but he's carried, 7 times in 2 games?
Yeah. I don't know. That I would be curious for an explanation there of why he's not getting a ton of touches, why he's not producing like we thought he would. Maybe it is injury. We know what he can be, though. When he's at his best, I thought we'd be seeing that. So I'm not sure.
Yeah. South Carolina, we haven't talked about them, and we're not going to really recap that one because they've still got a long way to go. I don't know what the poor state of South Carolina did to deserve tonight, but that game started, I think, 2 or 3 hours late. South Carolina pulling away from South Carolina State 31-3.
They're running punts back like it was nothing.
Okay, I was going to say because the stat line for the North Sellers 7-14 for 76. They're not really running the ball. And I don't think you want to. I mean, if Sellers is in the game at this point, I would really question Shane Beamer. Got first downs 9-6, South Carolina's favor, midway through the third quarter. Which is because your scores are a 44-yard punt return, a punt block. Yeah, so 2 special team scores on the heels of one last week for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, so for them able to be doing that, that's pretty good. It was the same guy who ran both punt returns back for touchdowns.
Oh, really?
Victor, I had his name up. But yeah, he ran both of them back.
The kid that ran one for 80 last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gone blank on it too. I'll know it when someone says it. But I mean, hey, look at them. Shane Beamer rebuilds his special teams. They got 3 touchdowns in 6 quarters now.
Yeah. I'm trying to find his name, and I can't. But
Bakari Swain. That's
yes.
Yeah.
Making it look easy out there on those punt returns.
Yeah. And again, all new guys there. And then one of them's not even Nick Harbor. I thought Nick Harbor might be their punt returner.
Yeah.
But he's not. Gosh, Chase. Yeah, somebody made the point for me on Michigan. Look, this is what Michigan's got on defense, okay? Derek Moore, their edge guy, Rayshawn Benny, 2 guys on their line, potential top 2 round picks this coming year. Their safeties, Metcalf and Rod Moore, draftable prospects. They got a corner in Jair Hill that's a top 100 pick potentially. Now, Jaysean Barham did miss the first half of the game tonight because of targeting.
Yeah.
But they had Ernest Hausman still there, who's a big-time player. Like, they were loaded in that front 7, and even the secondary with dudes. So, to me, and you're going to see this later, okay? We'll do awards. And people are going to get mad because somebody that rang up pinball numbers against a bad team is not going to get mentioned. I'm paying attention when you do it against blue-chip teams with blue-chip NFL players. And Oklahoma, that offense again. Ben Arbuckle, you got exactly what you thought you were getting.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. And yeah, it was a good win for Oklahoma. And I think we can say that knowing what Michigan has.
All right, let's circle back and recap the day. Biggest surprise has to be South Florida going into Florida. Alex Golish and company winning that game. Now, I think Alex Golish's agent earned a lot of money tonight.
Yeah.
Whatever happens. Because I think he's going to be on some short lists for Power 4 vacancies. He's got to be.
He's got to be.
In Gainesville.
You read my mind, Chris. You read my mind because he could ride right up the road and I think be a successful guy. I think he'll be successful wherever he goes. And he's definitely built his resume up. I think he's a very solid coach.
Okay, surprise number 2, Mississippi State taking down Arizona State. I wasn't shocked. I was surprised. I thought it was too soon. Said they could do it, but I just don't think they're there yet. But hey, they did it with defense, man. Yeah, I meant to check the final box. I did, and I'll do that now. But basically getting a goal line stand to hold Arizona State to a field goal when you just got mauled in the trenches by that same program. Now, again, not the same running back that ran you over last year, just as he did the rest of the country. But same program, this year they got, I think, biggest play of the game. 1A, Shapen's touchdown pass to Brennan Thompson, who, by the way, 6 for $133 and 2 scores. And then that stop. In fact, I think they had 2 stops inside the 2, maybe both at the 1 to force 4th and 1. I thought State would be better offensively. I thought defensively it would take more time than it did. They had 6 stops for loss tonight, Chase.
Wow. Yeah. And Max Cook brings up a good point here. The SEC is fun when Mississippi State is in the mix. Glad to see them up again. That's a very valid point, because I feel like last year Mississippi State was one of those teams where whenever, X team played Mississippi State, you just kind of figured that team was going to win. Kind of like Vanderbilt in recent years. Like, you got Vanderbilt, that's the easiest team in the SEC. Last year, college football was fun because that was not Vanderbilt. They were sneaking up on people. You didn't know what they were going to do. And I feel like Mississippi State can be that this year, where they're not going to be an easy out. They're going to win some games. They're going to challenge you. They've got some good players this year. So it most definitely is fun when you have a team like Mississippi State who's you can't count them out.
Yeah, I think power rankings on Monday, man. We're going to have more people mad at us than ever, because just other than Florida, most teams played pretty well this weekend.
Yeah.
And they're all going to think they're deserving of more than where we put them. And I'll know the arguments, but man, you got to seed them 1 through 16, whether they're good or terrible.
That's
I know that state will no longer. Well, no, state moved out of the basement last week, and like even Kentucky, man, Kentucky had a shot at Ole Miss until deep into the fourth quarter. I mean, I don't think Kentucky's terrible. Kentucky's a punching bag of for jokes, because the offense stinks and has for a while, but that's not a bad team. I mean, Ole Miss put up 63 a week ago, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. Other surprises today. Again, South Florida, biggest one of the day. I thought, I mean, nothing shocked me. Louisiana Tech LSU was closer than I thought, but we drew up the script for that. You win at Clemson, you got Florida next week. You got a team in state, who probably's got 100 players that grew up playing for LSU. I mean, if there was ever a letdown spot, there it was.
Yeah.
LSU still won, no problem. Austin Peay in Georgia. Final score was not, was it 28-6? Austin Peay beat MTSU a week ago. So Kirby Smart had whatever he needed to get his team's attention. That's just not what Georgia and Kirby Smart do. They don't ever run you into the ground if you're overmatched. So I really don't think there were a lot of surprises today. Even some of the lower level games, you want to see Arch Manning better. 5 touchdowns in 4 minutes, or 4 touchdowns in 5 minutes today. You want to see A&M, the run game improve, the run defense, it did. I was surprised Vanderbilt handled business as easily as it did. I thought Vanderbilt would win. To just make Virginia Tech look like a high school team in the second half, I didn't see coming. So, I mean, really, you cannot feel badly about who you are tonight unless you're Florida and even Kentucky. Okay, you took a loss at home, and your offense and your quarterback play is dreadful. And by the way, I didn't see Zach Calzada, the update on that. I don't know how he is or isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, may have been Cutter Bowley time anyway. I just don't think that offense seems to be going anywhere with him. Although the Toledo win looks a little better after last week. Toledo just boat raced somebody decent today, by the way. So, I could argue that other than Florida, not that it's going to be any sympathy in Lexington, everybody can go to bed feeling kind of okay about themselves.
Yeah. And I think today showed us it's going to be a fun year of SEC football. And I know some of these teams, again, did not play the strongest of opponents. But I think what we saw from these teams showed us that there's going to be some really competitive games in SEC play, and I'm excited. We got to, we'll see more of those next week, but and we'll predict and preview them all through next week. But I think it's going to be a really fun year in the SEC.
You ready for medal stand?
Sure.
How do you want to do this?
Oh,
you want to go gold, silver, bronze? Or you want to go from the bottom?
We'll go from
let's go from the. Okay, I'm going to call it. Let's go from the top.
Okay,
we got a lot to sort through, and you tell me if you got a different one. Okay.
Okay.
Gold medal. I'm going to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You beat Michigan, bona fide ranked team, great defense. You did absolutely everything you needed to do other than get Jade Knott going.
That's right.
Silver, I'm going to go. I'm going to go Mississippi State because that's such a big win. You beat a team that came out of the playoff. Could go back this year, by the way.
And a lot of people have them doing that. Yeah.
State. Right. I mean, the Big 12 is wide open. Speaking of Big 12, Auburn, your win looks a little better after what Baylor did to SMU today. So congrats to you on that one from last week. Gosh, you're going to have to leave a couple of performances off the medal stand that were big, but I'm going to go on. I always lean towards who you beat. And a little bonus for the spot, okay? Hadn't played a border war in a while. Missouri, after a rough start, just dismantled Kansas from that point on. First border war played in at least a dozen years, whatever it's been.
Mm-hmm.
You more than double up in total offense. Your quarterback looked great. Game that mattered to people. I with apologies to some other teams, including Ole Miss, which won the conference game, Vanderbilt, which again dominated the final part of that game, and in Tennessee, which set a school record for points today, and is just a footnote because of the day that was. I think that's how I'm going to go. Agree or disagree?
I agree with that. I agree with 100% with you. Yeah, I think that's really good.
Gold medal. Medal stand for players. I'm going to go. I think you got to go Mateer first. Effective running, effective throwing. Again, who you did it against counts. To me, that's, I think, a pretty easy one.
Yeah. I agree.
I think silver. I think I'll go Bo Prabula. 30 of 39, 334, three touchdowns, no picks. Didn't run it as much today, 9 for 6. Frankly, you probably didn't want to. I think that's my silver.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, he had a good day.
Bronze. I need to look at a box score. I'm thinking about going to Starkville. You could go to Thompson for busting open on the winning touchdown, to Blake Shapen for throwing it. But I might do something a little different, Chase. Okay. Nah, numbers don't justify it. They gave up 251 rushing. I was going to give it to Mississippi State's defensive line for getting those late stops, but wasn't good otherwise in terms of the run game. Good when it mattered, though. I'm
trying to think who else too.
I think I'm gonna go Brendan Thompson. Caught 2 touchdowns, 6 for 133, and also one again. I'm going to who you played. Did you see what Cassius Howell did in College Station today?
Yes,
I've never seen that. Sacks on 3 consecutive plays. Don't know what his final line was. Look, they're going to beat Utah State, barring an absolute clunker. So again, I'm going who you beat.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going. Any differences? Any shout outs? Because I know I left somebody out.
Well, and there's a lot that could have been in there, but no, I think that was good. I agree with all 3 of those.
Ty Simpson's going, what do I have to do, man? I throw 17 passes. I hit them all.
That's valid. Yeah, he's honorable mention. Right outside the medal stand.
Yeah, Marcel Reed was pretty good today. Did get hurt. Boy, you had a lot. That's the other thing. You had a lot of quarterbacks get hurt today.
It's true, yeah.
Gosh, who okay, guys that got banged up in the SEC today at quarterback. At least I know these, okay? There may be more. You had Marcel Reed leave between the third and fourth quarter. You had Calzada leave when? Second half?
Yeah.
You had Austin Simmons leave fourth quarter, did not finish out the game. They said he was available, but didn't finish. I guess that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it, yeah.
So keep an eye on that. Next week's games, we'll do that, and then we'll do parting thoughts. Here's what you got. You've got Georgia at Tennessee. I would think that'd be game day consideration.
Yeah, they are. They are going there.
Oh, they are. They've announced it. Okay, good call. Texas hosts UTEP. Ole Miss and Arkansas. That could be interesting.
Yeah,
that's in Oxford. LSU hosts Florida. Alabama's got Wisconsin and Tuscaloosa. Texas A&M at Notre Dame. Big one. Another one of those maybe swing playoff type wins for the league. I think Vandy, South Carolina will be a dandy. That's in. I must say that Carolina's dominated that series. So you don't know, but on paper feels like a good one. I mean, Vanderbilt was more decisive against Virginia Tech in Blacksburg than Carolina was in Atlanta, but openers are weird, so I wouldn't put too much stock into that. But it's worth a mention. Oklahoma goes to Temple. Missouri hosts Louisiana. Kentucky draws Eastern Michigan. Mississippi State's got Alcorn State. So decent week of games next week. You've got at least two huge ones in Tennessee, Georgia, A&M, and Notre Dame, and some others. Carolina, Vandy, Florida, LSU. I don't know what to make of Florida, LSU.
Yeah.
After Florida tonight. But
at this point, I have no idea.
Yeah. So, by the way, Brett Norfleet and Kevin Coleman was great today. You missed this earlier. I think people are sleeping on Missouri's receiving core, man. And throw Norfleet in there too. He's had two really good games. So
he has, yeah.
Bedlam says as much as it pains him, Arch Manning bounced back. He sure did.
Yeah, he did.
Struggled early, but Florida touchdown passes late. Yeah. Chase, parting thoughts.
Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, I think just it's set up to have a fun year in the SEC. I think it's wide open. We saw teams show us some things today, good and bad, but Mississippi State, and I don't think Mississippi State from last year. Alabama has fixed some of the issues from last week. Auburn's offense is much better than last year. I could go on and on that I feel like makes this league wide open. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think that's one of the main things I learned today is we've got some good teams here in the SEC.
Yeah. No clue what is coming next. I mean, even LSU, which we all thought, I think 4 of the 5 of us voted LSU won last week. We did go to vote for Georgia. But, I don't make much into LSU being underwhelming against Louisiana Tech. Again, I pointed out the spot, but, 73-0 hits differently than whatever the final was tonight, if you get my drift. So,
yeah.
All right. We'll be back at it on Monday with power rankings. We got predictions coming up. Speaking of LSU, we ran an interview this week with baseball coach Jay Johnson. It was a great one. I hope you'll catch that. We got basketball content here constantly. And, tons of football coming next week. Cannot wait to bring that all to you. So thank you for watching and listening tonight. For Chase Robinson, I'm Chris Lee. Appreciate you being here. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. We'll see you soon at Southeastern 16.